They really went that cheap for who the Disaster really was. Really? Really? Nah. You know what? I'm not gonna take this L sitting down. Nah.
Sauce.
Y'all didn't see any of that. Anyway. Well, they did exactly what I didn't want them to do. Pin the Disaster on one of the newer characters in a very last-minute fashion of raising suspicions while still completely cheapening the effect by it being someone we have little to no investment in as an audience. So, here we go, yet again, with another episode of Geats. While continuing to emphasize everything about the Disaster game, Keiwa gets a call from his sister, because of course he would. She's trying to smash some fruit, but this is totally irrelevant currently outside of the fact that this ties completely into the game of this week. So, what's the situation? Well, the Jamato have been out delivering edible arrangements to people with the short shelf life of sunset. What happens at sunset? Boom! The Jamato have not only gotten good at making bombs, but also threat letters. It's like the ending of Black Sun. While Keiwa gets in a round of Fruit Ninja, it's Ace that slides on in and gets the first Jamato, getting that secret mission and landing him with a Magnum Buckle. Of course, while teaming up with Keiwa, the two get ambushed by a random fruit bomb, with a conveniently timed shot of Lopo passing by. Can you tell I'm kind of rushing through this? Similar to how the show is rushing us down this terrible reveal. Bet? Cool. Having the Jamato escape leads them all to question everything going on while piecing together what they already know. Keiwa, meanwhile, finally understands. Though, checking this up, her bomb's a bit different from the other's experience. Strapped like someone out of a weird fetish video, Sarah's got her wires crossed because she's more shocked by the celebrities than her own situation. Of course, Keiwa being Keiwa shows his impulsiveness in just trying to be quick to dismantle it, ignoring every bomb situation in any form of media ever. You never just try and cut the wires, my guy, come on. Meanwhile, has brought Neon's mom into the audience chamber. Clearly, not blown away by the concept of pocket dimensions and free floating in the air, her priority is Neon being wrapped up in this game. But Daddy Timefire is not concerned because apparently Neon's got not just the sponsor of her father's company, but the support of a pretty major audience member at that. That's not enough for Crazy Mom though, so she gets involved almost instantly, calling up Neon, offering up everything she thinks to get her out of this situation. But of course, it's time for obvious seed plant towards Sae once again, overhearing things and starting to compare families. Oh, now you want me to care about this character. It's because you're planting these flags almost as quick as you planned on showing your hand. Okay, this thoughtful message is brought to you by Pocari Sweat. Pocari Sweat. When you're working hard being a disaster, rehydrate yourself with the sweet taste of electrolytes. So what's Saya's backstory again? Okay, so she's got siblings, but that's not her only thing. Her family's restaurant kinda went under after her dad got sick. So in order to continuously get money from sweet sponsorships like Pocari Sweat, she wished to keep her athleticism. Or, this could also be a ploy to get sympathy points, but whatever. She did conveniently have her family photo as easy access to pull out in case a situation arose. Just saying. We now tune in to the Farming Channel, brought to you by The Walking Dead. Archimedel's ready to plant some buffa seeds, but here comes a brand new sponsor. Introducing Beroba. a sponsor who supports the Jamato as opposed to the proper contestants. She's got her eyes on Azuma and what he's becoming, driving home that if he wants to meet his desire of defeating all the Kamen Riders, he's better off staying with the herbs. Back with the contestants, Ace and Kayla start piecing together how each fruit works as we bring up the total vote, and it's anyone's guess. But screw it, the Jamato are back. Oh yeah, I just noticed Future Galaxy Blade's not showing up. And regular Galaxy Blade is still a card. Is it because the fight scenes are so lackluster and more of a background element this week? Or is it because that's how this arc is going in general? Well, yeah, that's probably it, because the only one good fight scene is the one with Azuma making his re-entry into Geats' cheeks. Bringing out the Jamato buckle, he's trying to lay the vines all over him, all while the others take care of the real game of taking down the Jamato. Luckily, one's rocking the fruit that Keiwa is looking for, so in a role reversal, he's the one jacking the buckle from Lopo this time, using that zombie to bust through them walls. Taking down the Jamato leaves some red vines, making the answer obvious on which one to cut. Which, this is just a weird overall outcome that whatever. Buffa and Geats are still going at it with some perfectly thumbnail bait shots, all to Jean's enjoyment in the audience room. But that's when Beroba drops in. So, he pulls out the obvious Geats power-up that hasn't been formally revealed yet. See, filthy Jamato sponsors aren't allowed in here. But wait, she's backing up a writer now in the form of Buffa. So, I guess it's cool then. A writer's a writer, right? Now it's time for Keiwa to defuse that bomb with minimal tension at all. All while Geats and Buffa are still fighting? They've been at this for hours! But Azuma's stamina runs out first because them herbs just ain't hitting right anymore. We now join the biggest plot element of the episode, followed by the cheapest reveal yet. With Peroba backing Buffa, Niram's gotta take out the trash, but without getting the Game Master involved this time. Meanwhile, the disaster is revealed to be Lopo. Rating time. Oh my god. What are you doing with this plot, Takahashi? The cheapest route to go with on this one was to go with one of the new players. It's the obvious choice because of the lack of investment in these characters. Not only that, but most of Lopo's character development scenes all happened with interactions with Neon, and some of which likely ended up happening off screen. I personally feel nothing but disappointment that this was the end result. The only thing worse would have been making it no one. It really just kills the stakes. Every time I'm hoping that there's stakes, nah, they play it safe. It happened previously with Ace being eliminated from the game, only to be brought back the following episode. And it's happening again with this. It's giving me a hard time to get excited with this show currently playing it safe in these regards. So, because of that, I'm just going to end up giving this episode a C. Alright, that little tangent aside, there is this artificial drama that they are building up in terms of who the disaster is. But with us knowing who it is, they will likely end up getting revealed to the rest of the cast next week. Actually, according to the preview, that's exactly what's going to happen. And I just hate how formulaic this has kind of gotten. They set things up for an immediate payoff and really just don't let things wander too far. We do keep getting these smaller nuggets sprinkled into the larger world building, but this could just be me also overthinking that I'm overthinking on these things. So let's overthink things real quick on that last part involving Niram, because it got me a little curious. Niram, towards the end of the episode, says something along the lines of wanting to preserve the realism of this world. Does that mean that the entire world that everyone lives in, and not just the DGP, is a fabrication? See, this could get into a deeper rabbit hole if that is the case. But it would imply that either the contestants participating are themselves also artificial, thus making them playable character units? Think of it. If the world itself is a game world, the audience is just a live stream audience. Some who can donate to influence the game, kind of like a regular Twitch stream or YouTube stream. But then the real players are the ones that are behind the scenes that you aren't aware of until you are. Meaning that if the characters are indeed fictional, their earth-shattering revelations would be finding all that out. That they never really had any free will, and their games, and not even their lives, are their own. It's kind of typical meta commentary isekai BS that's become a little bit too cliche. So if that does end up being the case, then, well, I'll be disappointed on that one as well. Ace, being the only one that seems to be self-aware this whole time, could be part of his mystery that he is a proper extra-dimensional player who just happens to be controlling himself. He's a literal self-insert. With the revelation that sponsors exist on both sides of the playing field, I wouldn't be surprised if the construct, makeup of the DGP as a whole ends up being the real enemies of the show. And that's just how these guys end up banding together and against them. Now, looking at this from a cliche gaming perspective, most JRPGs in general usually end with them fighting some sort of higher power, usually their world's version of God. And can I just say that with the current elements presented in this show so far, it seems like they might be going that route. Okay, so enough of that rampant speculation. Let's go back to talking about this episode. The fight scenes ever since the rules of the game changed have been more or less minimized as the human drama started gaining traction. That's not so much of a bad thing as it just starts seeming obvious to us as a viewer that the show is trying to save some cost for the time being. With Neon's dad alluding to her having the backing of a pretty large sponsor, I'm wondering how long it'll be before we actually end up getting that revelation. Since currently she's the only one of the main roster that hasn't had their sponsor showcased off yet. Is it someone that we've seen before, or is it someone entirely new? Guess we'll have to wait and see on that one, but it's probably sooner than we expect. Now, maybe I'm just being a little bit too harsh on this show currently, but not everything can really stay a banger. And I'll be quick to point out to my early Revice reviews where I was a little bit concerned about it blowing its load too early and that it would start to flounder. So I'm taking Geats with a bit more of a cautious optimism approach. But I can't help but feel that we might be down a slippery slope. Execution on how this all plays off is just one thing, and another is having the proper seed plants. But honestly, ever since Decade, writer shows have been falling into this formula of these 2-episode arcs that make it a little too soon for us to start getting payoffs. It makes me wonder if this is just a direction that Toei is taking these shows, or if it's the structure these writers have opted to go with. So, what did you all think about this week's Geats? New sponsorships, hitting in plain sight power-ups, and Lopo being the disaster. Anyway, that's it for me. Hopefully, next week is better when it comes to this show. But otherwise, spill that tea for the next Geats, and I will see you all next time. Bye.